Hello there, I'm Mike Creevy for Homeschool Connections, and with me today is Marlana Weber talking about her courses at Homeschool Connections. Welcome, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
Oh, pretty good. I'm just thrilled I get to sit here and talk to all these Homeschool Connections instructors, so it's
We are
exciting.
pretty awesome.
Well, yeah, and it's so exciting to talk to you here today. And why don't you just share with us, Marlena, a little bit about your own background, anything that particularly you might want to share that brought you to Homeschool Connections?
I have a few different things. So I was originally brought to Homeschool Connections. I have three kids. Two of them are Homeschool Connections age. They're high schoolers, so they take
Okay.
classes with Homeschool Connections. And so I started with them, and I became involved in the parent community that HSC has. And after getting to know Mr. Crawford and a few of the other various stuff, and Mrs. Whitman, and everything like that, eventually I came up with an idea that during all the midst of the COVID lockdown, I said, what about we get a group of students together that really need to connect because I don't know about you, but my kids have nothing to do right now. And we'll start a game night for kids. Do you think anybody would be
Oh,
interested? And
cool.
people go, I think my kid would be interested. I think my kid would be interested. So we thought, let's play Among Us. And I, on Friday night, like 2.5 years ago, said, put it out for a bunch of students and parents and said, who wants to come play some games? And it has evolved that so much so that now we have this student community, and I still host a game night for students on Friday
Wow.
nights for HSC students. And it's been a great way for them to connect, for me to get to know them, and for us to grow the student community. And Mr. Crawford and Mrs. Whitman loved it so much that they pretty much, after a couple months of doing it, were like, can you please actually come work for us and keep doing this like full time, not full time, but part time for us? So
Yeah.
sure.
Oh,
So
that
here
is
I
so
am.
cool. That is awesome. Wow. And was that something that was now? Did you? I mean, just in your own kind of background, was that something that you were already really familiar with, or was that a totally new kind of initiative you were trying out, or did you? I mean, it sounds like you
My
you had some
home is
experience here.
full of a bunch of nerds. So
Yeah.
we're all gaming nerds, board game nerds, video game nerds, you name it. We love all the geeky things. And so I have plenty of friends that I would get together with. We'd jump on Zoom, we'd jump on Discord, we'd jump on various places and just get together and game. So I thought, and my teens would do the
Right.
same thing. So the idea came to me of, why don't we just extend this out to all these other homeschooled kids who are also probably looking for the same thing and get you all together.
Sure.
And it became a big hit. So yeah, I have a bit of, background of, you know, getting online, gaming with people,
Yeah.
all of those things, connecting with people. I'm very extroverted, so I'm really good about just putting myself out there and just saying, who wants to do an
Yeah.
idea? I have an idea. Let's go with this.
That is so just awesome to hear, and that kind of brings me to just asking you here now about your course here that you're teaching. So you said this brought you into being more involved, in this teaching capacity too with Homeschool Connections. Tell us a little bit about the course you have here.
So I'll be teaching this fall, I'll be teaching American Sign Language. My background is that I have a bachelor's degree from National University in English. So my background is English, but as a college student, you had to take a foreign language. And I took all my whole entire college life, I went through ASL 4, which was basically
Mm-hmm.
4 years of American Sign Language. And that was in college, and it was quite some time ago. And my teens were interested a little bit as well. And the HSC had really old recordings, and they hadn't been able to find an ASL teacher to come back and reteach the course. And so when Maureen heard that through the grapevine of things that, oh, you actually took ASL, you learned ASL in college. And I said, I did. I went all the way, quite a few years of ASL, and sort of took it with me after college. I would work retail and I'd implement what I learned and things. And she asked me, would you think about coming to teach a class, teach an American Sign Language class? We really need to reteach it again. At first I said, maybe. It took her three times. But the third time she asked me, I said, oh, okay, I'll come in. I'll teach this year. So we're starting
Wow.
off slow. We're starting off with ASL 1 this year, and then
Okay.
hope to add at least ASL 2 the following year. So, but we
Wow.
decided this year, let's just start a little simple. Let's just start everybody on the same page, and we're starting with one ASL 1
Sure.
course. But it's very exciting.
Well, and how? So I'm curious because this I don't have any experience with ASL myself, and I'm wondering what kinds of methodologies you might employ in the classroom, or kind of how you might go about certain lessons, if there's any projects, or just kind of that interaction with the students. What do you anticipate for that, or what do you hope to do there?
My hope, so I had to really think it through because it will be very different than my experience of learning American Sign Language. I had actually started learning it when I was in high school from a friend of mine who his entire family was deaf. So I started learning
Mm.
there, which then took me into college where I thought I'll take ASL as my foreign language. And but tweaking it to work on Zoom has some really great advantages, and it also has a little bit of a different some disadvantages because we still need to talk. In HSC, we only meet, an hour a week, where some college classes, you're in a classroom for 3 hours a week, fully immersed with a deaf teacher who, you have no speaking, no talking, none of that. So we're tweaking
Mm.
that a little bit. We will actually be talking. We get an hour. There'll be a little bit more of just practice, practice, practice outside of the classroom. Get your family to practice with you, just stare at a camera and practice. But we're going to be doing just a lot of trying to interact with each other. Everybody's cameras will be on in the class, which is a
Oh,
little bit
okay.
different than most HSC classes, but we can't learn a language that uses all of our hands if we can't see each other, so
Sure.
so we will be doing a lot of just trying to interact with each other, learning this year, this first semester, just learning a lot of the basics of even just finger spelling to learn how to communicate with the deaf community and all that. So we'll be doing a lot of one-on-one, working with that. We have just do a few quizzes outside of that. Just hopefully keep practicing out there and get out in the community and start learning it that way. We'll have a little project at the end. My goal is to have a little project at the end where everybody gets to sort of usually shares a story that's provided with the curriculum that we're using and really get practice with it and all that. So it should hopefully be a lot of fun.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, and it's such an important skill. I feel like that can I imagine be so easily overlooked, right?
Yeah.
But if it's there, I know there's a priest around here who he doesn't get moved a lot, but just when they have to move guys around to different parishes and be new pastors, um, he's one of the only priests, as far as I know, who is experienced with ASL, and so it seems like whenever he has to change parishes every 10, 15 years, it's like the whole core of the deaf community tends to
All of
follow
it.
him around, right?
What I really
So
find fascinating is that what I really like about American Sign Language and feel that at least everybody should have some sort of, even if you can just finger spell the alphabet, you can communicate with somebody of the deaf community. Those of us, like if I go to France, I can pull up an HSC class, I can pull up something online. There's a plethora of sources online for me to at least learn basic communication, to learn how to communicate with somebody who's in France. But those
right,
in the deaf community don't really have that same option. Like, you can't just automatically hear, it's
right,
it's just not they don't have that ability to be able to just turn it on and be like, I just want to learn how to hear today, where I can just go,
right.
I just want to learn how to speak French today. So I find it very important that at least you can get the basics. So if you do encounter somebody in the grocery store and you see there's a little bit of struggle, or in a job that you might have in the future, and you find somebody that's deaf or hard of hearing and is trying to communicate with you, then at least you can get the basics of communication out there. You can finger spell your way. You can spell each letter out the whole way if you need to, but at least you get that, so you can at least help the community a little bit. Like I said, we're very blessed that we have hearing and we can learn all sorts of different
Right.
languages when we sit down and take the time to do it. But not a lot of people want to learn sign language, and it's really important to have to help those who are part of the deaf community.
Wonderful. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Marlana, just a last question for you for now, as far as how students and families can learn more about your course coming up and learn more about you, how to get in touch with you, anything you want to share?
Yeah, you can find me. I'm in all sorts of social sites on through HSC, so you can usually find me in the Facebook group, the parent community. You can also always just good old fashioned email me. My email is mweber@homeschoolconnections.com.
Oh, wonderful. Well, Marlana Weber, thank you so much for stopping by today and telling us about your Homeschool Connections classes.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Hey, God bless you.
Have a good one.